Welcome to the Love is Our Nature podcast. One more time, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you dropping by. I got my very good friend, Ben Gabin. Did I butcher your last name every time?
No, you didn't. It's good.
This time I did it.
You're good this time.
Ben Gabin here, and I'm blessed to have him in my home right now in Santa Teresa, Costa Rica. It's actually the guest house to my old house where we lived for 8 months with Darren and Pippa, and it's just a beautiful day today. We can see the ocean from where we are. It's bright in the middle of rainy season. You would not know it's rainy season in Costa Rica. And yeah, there's a lot that I wanted to just chat with my brother Ben here about and share with you all. So we're gonna do that. And to start, I'd love to just ask you how you doing, man.
I'm great, brother. It's a beautiful day here, and I'm excited to chat and to be inspiring.
Awesome. He always is inspiring. One thing that Ben, a skill he has is he's a freestyle rapper. So we'll see, maybe we got some rhymes here, man. I don't know. That I'm not good in front of the camera when it comes to freestyle rapping. Actually, let me start with that. I always wanted to freestyle rap when I was in high school. I loved hip hop. I loved rap music. And when I was in high school, in my school, Killian in Miami, freestyling was a thing. You know, I was in keyboard class, and some people would make beats on the keyboard, and then people would come and freestyle, and it was like the dopest freestyle battles. I wound up like beatboxing for some really awesome battles. There was a guy named Hershey who was like the best in the school. This guy was amazing. It was just next level. Like it was like he was performing a song, but it was all freestyling. You know, we would give him words and he'd use them, and it's just like, wow. Damn. So I'm like, that's like the coolest thing to do ever. And I always felt like I couldn't do it. And for the longest time, I you know, when I tried, it would just be like a joke, you know, and I would do it every now and then with some friends, and I would just laugh. I did this plant medicine ceremony, ayahuasca ceremony, in like July of last year, and suddenly I felt that I could drop some rhymes, you know, and I didn't go much further than that. It definitely was more like the afterglow where I found myself able to do it. And what do you know? Like, I'm driving down south for a quick trip that we took, like a weekend trip down to Dominical. It's like a 5-hour drive. And the entire time we spent it just dropping rhymes to instrumentals, and it was so much fun. And it's like Ben helped me unlock some creative freestyle block that I had. So thank you.
You're welcome, bro. It's really beautiful to see people give up the ego, give up that need to always look good, and just sort of jump into the flow of life.
Yeah.
And we've been rapping, we've been singing. It's really been a magical experience here.
Yeah.
You bring out that creative side in me as well.
Awesome, man. Where did you learn to freestyle rap?
Yo, I got exposed to rap, I guess, when I was in middle school. I had a really good friend named Benji. And from Benji, I learned about Tupac. From there, it led into like Eminem, Exhibit, Dr. Dre, you know, some of these original West Side rappers. And I guess when I was in college, I had this crew, these people that I rolled with, and one of them had a car, and we would just roll around, and everyone would have like 30 seconds of a song, and we'd freestyle it. And it was really cool. And you know, we were okay, but like the more we practiced, the more I could see like we were getting a little bit better. And it was when I took the wisdom course that Landmark Worldwide offers that it unlocked something in me where I was like, wow, like this is an art form that I really connect with, freestyle rap. And I just wanted to explore it more. I wanted to play. And we would drive to the wisdom course from North Carolina all the way to Atlanta. It was like a 5 or 6 hour drive. And the whole time we would just be rhyming in the car. It was me and my friend Jordan, and Jordan's dad, actually. And it was just this magical space of love and freedom and openness that opened up. So ever since then, I've just done it every now and then. Got into Harry Mack.
The man.
So it's a fun thing to practice.
Awesome. Yeah, man. So much fun. It's a lot of fun, and just the wildest things just come through. So yeah. And yeah, man. The reason I wanted to bring you on the show today is, I know I've shared with people that I see this podcast having like a dual intention. Number one, to support people and inspire people to love themselves more, drop into the heart more, live from the heart and from their true essence more. And number two, to inspire and enable people to create a life of their dreams or a life beyond their dreams. I feel so blessed, I mean, the life I have now, I never even imagined it, like I've lived here now for 2 years, and I love the pace, the nature immersion. It's things that I didn't even know I wanted, that once I got here, I'm just like, whoa, like, this shit is amazing. Like, can I make this my life? Like, yeah. And somehow, like, I made it my life, so I remember living in the U.S. that there were so many people that related to their life like later it will be it, like later it will be better, but there was no real motion or plan to make that a reality, and for me, you're someone who embodies both of those intentions, you're someone who's been on a path to like connect to the most deepest essence of yourself and to really discover like who you are at your core, and you're also just like living life, like you're like, okay, I'm inspired to be in Florida, I go to Florida. I'm inspired to be in Costa Rica, we'll go to Costa Rica. One thing you don't know about Ben is he's actually part of the men's circle I started maybe about 4 months ago. And it hadn't even been a month of our men's circle. We meet twice a month, and he met William there, a awesome guy, and they went from complete strangers to then being like, hey, who wants to do a retreat in this yoga retreat in Costa Rica? And they, as strangers that had become brothers, they came here to Costa Rica and did this yoga retreat. What was that like?
It was epic, bro. It was a Kundalini yoga retreat.
Yeah.
Up near Nosara, a little bit north, in this just gorgeous little town called Ostional, where they have these sea turtles that come and lay eggs, and the eggs hatch, and there are like thousands of turtles that go back to sea. And so, that part of it, just that part was enough for me. Like, one of the things that we did in the workshop was we did breath work. And I connected with this part of myself that used to hike and explore wilderness when I was younger. And I had like lost the connection with nature, and with that young Ben who had like been a total like explorer when I was little. And in the breath work, when I saw that, like, it brought me to tears. And I was like, wow, like I can reground, I can reconnect with this joy that I've had since I was just a little kid. And that was really beautiful. So, it was cool. It was awesome hanging out with William. We connected at a deep level.
Yeah.
And then, it was just in a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah. And I was inspired ever since from you, because it's just like, it's almost this like why the heck not kind of attitude, that I see, like, oh, retreat in Costa Rica. Sure. Let's go. Who wants to come? All right. Awesome. Let's go. So I think you've shared with me your itinerary for the next few months, and you're going to be all over the place with people that you love. And then you planted the seed of like, hey, let's have the brothers in the circle, like, get together for an end of the year private retreat. Like, why don't we create a private retreat? And I was like, that sounds fucking awesome, And now we already booked the Airbnb for up on the mountain for the 4 or 5 day retreat over the end of the year. So yeah, man, that's why I invited you, because I wanted to just share. I wanted you to share, like, with the world, like, what has enabled you to live life this way. And also, I'm curious to hear what 2 weeks in Costa Rica, particularly in Santa Teresa, have been like for you. So
beautiful.
Let's start with that. You know, you got here about just under 2 weeks ago to Santa Teresa after spending a couple of days in San Jose. What's it been like for you?
It's epic here, bro. It's epic. It's an interesting time to come to Costa Rica because it's rainy season, and honestly, I didn't really know that that's what I was walking into. Yet it's gorgeous here, and this town is like super spiritual. I lived in a very spiritual town for a long time, Asheville, North Carolina. Those of you who know Asheville, and this kind of reminds me of Asheville a bit. There's some really neat people, very open, very much like a lot of people who are doing the work of connecting with God and spirit and the universe. So it's been really, really fun here.
Yeah. What are some of your highlights of your time in this town? What stands out?
Dude, so let me just back up a little bit. Like I booked this trip to Costa Rica just to kind of I was guided to come here. And initially I was going to stay in the Central Valley around the capital of San Jose.
When you say guided, I'm just going to pause it for a second. Because this is like new language for a lot of people that are kind of just living their life day by day, going to their jobs. Can you say a little bit more about what you mean by that when you say guided?
Yeah, sure. So for me, what that means is when I tune in to my body, like when I'm present with my body, I can feel like different sensations. And sometimes I receive some sort of like impulse here in my heart. And it when I think about something, it really rings true here in my heart. And it's okay, that's kind of what showed up for me around coming to Costa Rica. And maybe some excitement in my stomach too, but it's just it's like a being present and like an openness to receive.
Did you always have that sensitivity in your body about whenever you consider things?
I would venture to say when I was really little, I probably did, but I lost touch with that for a really long time. And I got out of a pretty long-term relationship last year in October. And one of the first things I did was I started taking Tantra classes. That was something that I really wanted to do. And it's been through Tantra, I've started to do a lot of breath work and a lot of sort of grounding into my body. And I think that it's through that work where I've become more sensitive to what the signs are, or how I'm being guided, if you will.
Those subtle body sensations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go back to where you left off. I asked you what are some of the highlights of your time here in Santa Teresa. Awesome. You said you were guided to come here.
Yeah. So Caesar was like, well, dude, if you're coming to Costa Rica, why don't you stay with me in Santa Teresa? And I was like, it's funny. Initially, I was like, I don't know, I kind of want to have my own space. But the more I felt into it, it was that actually sounds really perfect. One of the things that I've been playing with lately is the joy of being with other people, in person, versus the isolation, which is how I've lived a lot of my life. And I'm discovering the beauty of actually being around other people, close and connected. So I was like, dude, that sounds awesome. So I come out here to Santa Teresa, and there were a few breakdowns. And rather than being able to stay at Caesar's place, he hooked me up at this extraordinary place called Casa Verde, which is this giant house. And, it's at first, and I shared this with you, I was a little bit sad because why I came here was actually to spend time with you, And it was well, I'm in this great house, but I'm not with my brother. It's what's up with that? So my experience has been that you've really gone out of your way to spend time with me and connect. And the highlights for me have been our time together, the freestyle rapping, the going down to Tropico Latino and seeing the waves, come into the shore as we're eating or doing whatever. And then the trip down to Dominical was super cool as well. We looked at this giant piece of land that his friend was interested in buying, and just to have all that time and together and to be on that land was something else. There were these giant waterfalls, these 3 massive waterfalls, and we got to like play like in the pools at the bottom of the waterfalls
and go under them too. They were probably like 20-25 feet tall waterfalls, and at first like we're like, oh yeah, let's take photos. Okay, let's get a little closer and take photos. And then it's like, let's take photos of each other, and he goes to take photos of me first, and then I just got lost. I went like under the waterfall, and that was like a vortex. And then he put his phone down. He's like, screw this. And then before I knew it, he was also underneath the waterfall.
Let's go.
In the meantime, the owner of the land who was guiding us, they're kind of like, I guess I'll wait for these guys. That was epic, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it was a very purifying experience. Can you say more about that, about your experience being in those waterfalls?
Well, you kind of like paved the way for that. You shared with me that when you came down to Costa Rica originally, there was some time that you like really connected with water and spent some time in waterfalls. And like, I must say, I grew up in Colorado, but I've never spent a lot of time in waterfalls. And so, yeah, it was just like, there's something really beautiful about a source of water. It occurred like a source that's like always coming down, and it's like, wow, this is really beautiful. Like there's something spiritual going on here.
Yeah, it is intriguing how waterfalls just never run out of water, you know, especially when they're coming down that fast. You think like, when does this thing end, you know? But our world is just so magically designed that it just continues to replenish, and it never ends. At least let's hope they don't.
Let's hope they don't. And just real quick, you mentioned the beauty of where we're at right now, and unfortunately the people viewing can't see this, but like when I look this way, I can literally see the ocean from where we're sitting. This place is gorgeous.
Yeah,
you can hear the animals, and it's just like so green here. So I didn't want to leave that out.
Hummingbirds every now and then coming in. Yeah, that's why I stayed. You know, I remember when I was in Potrero, Costa Rica, my first month. I went for a run. I don't know, it was my first or second run that, you know, I'm running on the beach because I was staying maybe like 3 blocks from the beach. And I'm the only motherfucker on the beach early in the morning before work, just after sunrise. And I'm there like, I think I'm in trouble. I don't think I'm going back.
That's funny.
I had come to Costa Rica like 1 to 3 months at most. I knew after 3 months I'd have to go back because of visa, right? And I never thought I would stay. You know, I thought worse, well, not worse, like the longest, I was going to say worst case scenario. Like worst case scenario for people that miss me, I guess, and also for people that I miss. But I thought the longest I would stay was going to be a year. But just starting my day that way, you know, being able to wake up, I don't know, it's like time moves slower. Wake up and stretch, meditate, go for a run, sit there for 15, 20 minutes, or jump in the ocean and swim for 20 minutes, and then run back. And like, it's only like 8:30 a.m.
Yeah.
It's something else, you know, and I'm like, whoa. Like, what's this lifestyle, you know? And I discovered the beauty of a simple life, because at some point, like, I never even questioned that, you know? And I grew up in the city, and it's like, okay, this is the city, this is where we live. And, you know, you wake up in your house, you stay there, you get ready to go to work, you know? And now it's just like, no, man, like, what? I think I wish everybody could, you know, go for a jog in the beach, or jump into the ocean, you know, before they start work. You know, like, why the heck not? You know, and it goes back to that question that I started seeing you embody. You know, like, why the heck not? So that's cool, man. That's some nice highlights. Those are definitely some awesome highlights for me as well. Like, we've had some laughs, freestyle rapping, and just being in those beautiful lands, spending some quality time, and just sharing, like, brother to brother as well, things that we're dealing with. Speaking of brotherhood, it just hit me that you're actually the first guy from the Conscious Masculinity Brotherhood Circle to come on the show.
Oh wow!
So I would love to take a few minutes and just ask you to share, like, what's that been like for you being in that group?
Wow. Well, first of all, thanks for being the instigator of that. It's really been a special opportunity for all of us. I know for myself, like I shared, I had just gotten out of a relationship, and you know, you came to me and were like, "Hey, bro, I'm starting this thing. I'd like you to be a part of it." And I was like, "What is it?" And you shared about this gathering of men, a community of men. And it's funny because it had been like in my space, like in my spatial presence, but I hadn't articulated it. I certainly hadn't done anything with it. So to have a man who is a friend of mine to come to me and be like, "Yo, bro, I'm starting this thing," it was perfect. It was an alignment. That's the howler monkey. I don't know if y'all can hear that.
Probably.
Legit. They're out. We're safe though.
Yeah.
So
I'm sending a shout out to the Brotherhood Circle.
Yeah, shout out. Yo, so I mean, it's been great. The men there are just grade A men, just class acts. Like I said, I've connected with a lot of them, and we have this retreat that's happening in December. And I think what's special about it is, you know, there's things as men that we can't talk about with other people. They they just don't get it. And there's something really special that arises in the space of these every 2 Saturdays a month. We get together and chat, and Caesar's got like the calls scheduled for the most part, but like it's just cool to see what comes up, how we can both support the other men and be supported. It's been a really gratifying, healing, cathartic experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that it's provided for you being in it now that it's been 4 months now?
I would say that, like, for me, one of the best parts of it is it has really become real in my life. Like, I have an actual tribe now. Whereas at the beginning, maybe it was like, "Oh, I'm not sure who these strangers are." No, it's like, you know, we can bring stuff up to each other. We can get coaching. We can get support. You know, I'm doing business deals with one of the men. I'm going to Colombia with another man, and then we're all coming to Costa Rica. So yeah, that's what I'd say about that.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Another thing too that I didn't mention as I was introducing you is, you know, Ben, what he's doing right now for a living, I guess you could say, is being a real estate investor, and you not too recently, I guess, kind of recently, I don't know, you'll say, but you're having a good amount of success in your real estate investment business. So that's part of what I'm inspired to, which is you've created abundance in your life now. You know, you were so kind to treat me to an amazing, very generous dinner last night where we had sushi rolls for days and tuna steaks and
we'll have
shrimp
to throw
kebabs.
The picture in here.
Yeah, I have to drop it in. And I was so grateful for your generosity. You know, you said, "Hey, I want this to be my treat for what you've provided." You know, and yeah, I mean, I'd love to ask what wisdom you might be able to provide for people listening.
Yeah.
As to, I mean, was it always that way, or was there something that shifted for you where all of a sudden, like, abundance was welcomed into your life?
Dude, super great question. Remind me to share after I share this about the breakthrough I had yesterday, because that kind of ties in.
Okay, yeah.
So I've been taking classes with Landmark Worldwide since about like 2009. And I took a class a couple years ago called Partnership Explorations. And that was the course that like unleashed me into the world of like freedom and abundance. And what happened was I had a conversation with my dad during the course. And it was one of those conversations that I was really afraid to have, but I like stepped up and had it anyway. And when I asked my dad, I'm like, "Dad," I said, "why don't you like me?" And it was like terrifying for me to like allow those words to escape from my mouth. And my dad goes, he like looks at me and he's like, "All right, I'll tell you why I don't like you."
He didn't deny it.
No.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, when he shared something that I had done that had happened like maybe 3 months prior to this conversation that I'm having with him. And I was like, that's pretty recent. I was like, Dad, but like, what about when I was younger? Did you like me when I was younger? And he's like, of course I did. He's like, I didn't have anything about, you know, and I was able to just like let go of something really big that I had been hanging on to for a super long time. And like in that moment, you and I have kind of talked about like abundance and flow and like energy. I could like feel something shift energetically in that moment. I think I probably forgave my dad in that moment. And it was just like the floodgates opened of abundance. And I had been working in real estate for a few years without actually producing any real success. The day after that conversation with my dad, this deal that we had been working on that was like hung up for months, something shifted and we ended up, you know, making some money off of it. You know, we made like 20K or something, and it was like a big deal. And I was like, wow, it was like evidence for me that something had shifted. And then it was like, I've just stayed in that flow, and like we've kept having success after success after success.
Yeah.
It's been a really beautiful experience.
That's awesome.
I feel weird saying the number, but I said it, so there it is.
Yeah. No, it's all good. I've heard bigger ones too.
Yeah.
From you.
Oh, from me.
So in a way, it's like somehow, I guess, would you say that some sort of resentment you had towards your dad was blocking the flow of abundance into your life?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think that my dad always wanted me to be successful. And inside of me, I'll use a term, making him wrong. I was keeping myself from experiencing that abundance. I was keeping him from being satisfied. Yeah. And like when I let that go, it was like, okay, I don't have to play this game of like, I don't have to sabotage myself to get back at my dad. I can just like let go of all of that and have both of us win. And that was the shift.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Let's go back to the breakthrough you had yesterday then.
Yeah. Thanks for the
Let's hear it. What happened?
Yeah. So I've been, I'm going to be sort of strategic about my language yet, because this is not totally public. I've been like, inside of this leadership organization, training to be a pretty high level seminar leader for like 2 years now. I've given my life over to that. My life has been all about that. And I've grown like a weed. I don't regret it, but like I've always, maybe not always, but like I've felt kind of like on the fence about whether or not I wanted to continue on that path for at least 6 months now. And I've kind of been like wishy-washy, like back and forth. Should I stay? Should I go? You've been like there for me, like to listen when I have had questions or uncertainty about how to go forward.
Because it's the same organization that I left.
Word.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, so yesterday I wake up, I'm in a horrible mood.
Yeah.
And you reached out to me and you were like, hey, I just had Kalyani on my podcast, the last person you interviewed. Yeah. And you were like, she does this hypnotherapy thing, and I think it would be really great for you for what you're dealing with. And I was like, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm not really feeling that. I
don't want to talk to anybody right now.
I just want to be alone. Yeah. And you were gracious enough to just sort of be with where I was at, grant me space. You know, we're chatting on WhatsApp, but I could sense who you were being was just really generous. And eventually I was like, you know what? Why not? Like I'm for a life of transformation. I'm about making a difference on the planet. I care about people living lives of transformation. So I was like, I'll try something new, even though in this moment I don't feel like it. So I think that willingness and that commitment started to shift something energetically.
Yeah, that alone started to shift something, because you that's when you took this big leap to get 100% clear on your choice of to stay or not, and you chose to walk away from that accountability, that role. And this was before even the hypnotherapy session started, which was what blew me away. So that was really interesting.
Yeah, it was. So after we chatted, I was meditating. I set my timer for 25 minutes. And, you know, you've been talking about higher self ever since I've been here. And that's not really like language that I've typically used. And I got connected to my higher self in the meditation. And it was really this profound experience, because like it's kind of like a letting go
Mm-hmm.
into higher self. Higher self is more of a space than anything else. And like in letting go, what I discovered is how attached I've been to this particular role. Like, this is the right thing for me. This is what I have to be doing. And it's almost like I had been forcing myself to do it, even though like energetically, I really haven't been feeling it for quite some time.
Yeah.
And when I saw that it was a vehicle that I could use to express why I'm on the planet, and I could put that vehicle down and pick up another vehicle, dude, like I just started laughing hysterically. Like in the middle of my meditation, I'm like, it's like I was able to let it go finally.
Yeah.
And then I started telling people like my choice, like this is what I've decided. And it was a super powerful experience. That happened yesterday.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. And I find it, at least right now, I can't help but wonder, not just in this particular organization, but in anything similar, like how many more people might be in a similar position where I remember my experience, like feeling like, wow, this made such a huge difference in my life. And I've seen it makes such a huge difference in the life of so many people. In fact, I've seen it make the biggest difference that I've seen anything else make, to the point that I start feeling like, wow, if everybody in the world just does this, like we will heal the world. And that is like so inspiring, right? And that's why I and many other people and that organization, and I also heard many stories of other people and other organizations that makes them feel the same way. All of a sudden we're like, let's do this, you know, and we become like crusaders or something along with it. Maybe that's not the best word, but
that's
like
a great word.
Okay. Yeah. Like we're gonna heal the world, you know? And so I guess it is kind of a crusade. And I guess I never thought about this till right now. Just like, it's just such an interesting phenomenon, you know? And would you say that maybe there's more people out there like that? And why would you say, because I think you've had a very real experiences recently of like battling with like being invested in that, because you know the difference that it makes, and how your involvement there could support that mission it has in the world, and how that mission in the world actually also has become your mission in the world. So the thought of pulling out, sorry, I'm like a 5-year-old now. The thought of withdrawing seems like it's like a stupid idea, and we start thinking like, oh no, that's our ego that's battling just discomfort, that doesn't want to be accountable, that is resisting leadership, is resisting stepping up, you know. And it gets to be a bit of a mind fuck at times, you know. Like, what do you think about all that?
I mean, I think that it's one of the biggest things that we grapple with as human beings. I think that anyone who's sort of committed to being on a spiritual path is going to grapple with that. Like, is this the vehicle for me at this moment? And it's kind of a weird thing because, it actually could be your ego or your identity, maybe like fear or something getting in the way. Like, so it's like, is it that, or is it like, am I actually destined to do something else in this moment? Like, is there actually something that resonates more with me in this moment? So I don't know. I think it takes some discernment on behalf of the person who's on the journey. I know for me, like, it was not like an overnight decision. Like, I've been dealing with this for quite some time, as you know. So I think that it's something that people really need to sit with and meditate on. Yeah.
It's not that simple, you know, and I think that's the word, like discernment, to become clear on what's the path that's going to bring me the most joy, what's the path that's most in alignment with my heart, with my soul, with my being, you know, whatever way you want to see it. And what I find really interesting about that is that there's no right answer, you know. And to me, like I always told you from the beginning when you first brought this up, like, look, brother, like, I'm not going to try to talk you out of it. And and I'm not going to talk you into staying in it either. And that for me, what was important was, I guess my approach when we had that conversation was, I just want you to be happy.
Yeah.
I want you to do what most resonates with your heart. Because I remember, for me, actually, one of the guys that's globally accountable for a lot of the leaders in the organization told me when I was like, hey, I'm leaving, he said, hey, Caesar, just whatever you do, make sure that your heart is in it. And I don't think there's any better way of putting it, you know, that and that's what I had been feeling, that my heart wasn't in it.
Yeah.
And that's something that often is not going to make sense to other people, you know, and it's almost like people that are in that crusade, all of a sudden you could easily seem like somebody who's now betraying the crusade or something, and having conversations in there is difficult, because even though those people also want you to, you know, live a life of freedom and a life that you love, in my experience, there is going to be some attachment to like, but this is where you're going to do it. You know, not everybody, but yeah, it just came to mind, you know, like how many people might be out there just grappling with like, man, what's my path? Is this my path, or is it something else? Yeah. And I guess the other dimension of it is that one clear path that we're already in is already kind of figured out, is very concrete. You could see it. You could see its track. You could see where it leads, right? Whereas the alternative that we might be considering, it's not so well mapped out, you know, and then there's a mystery there, right? So it's kind of like also scary, because it's not like we can be in positions where we're going to say, look, this is not my path, but this is the path I'm following, because in that path, it's going to be A, B, C, and D, right? And this is how long it's going to take, and this is where I'm going. Sometimes we're like, I don't know what the fuck the other path is. I'm just feeling like this one's not it, you know? And it's so hard to make sense in speaking to other people, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it can be, especially people who haven't like had that experience for themselves. Yeah. I think that those that have, such as yourself, are going to have a lot more space to be with others who are grappling with it. It's those that maybe have wanted to veer off the path but haven't, that might be a little bit more attached to like, this is the right way. That this is the right way. They're not responding to you. That's like something that they're telling themselves to like make themselves feel safe. Yes. So that's like a super important distinction, is like people are going to say whatever they're going to say to you all the time throughout life. And what I've discovered from being here is like, this actually is my life. How do I want to live my life? And it might sound like a simple thing, but it's extraordinarily powerful. It's like, okay, I'm going to let somebody else convince me of how I should live my life. That's not being true to myself.
Yeah, man, I commend you. Because I was going to be happy for you regardless if you chose to stay or if you chose to go. But why I commend you and why I'm happy for you and proud of you is because like I feel that you just really looked in your heart and asked yourself, like, what does my heart want? You know, and that's what's going to bring us joy when we're doing something that's not really where your heart is in, what your heart is in fully. Sometimes we're just miserable, or it's just tough to, maybe not miserable, but there's some dullness in there. It's tough to experience the beauty and the magic of life. So I commend you for your courage. I commend you for your commitment to be true to yourself, be true to your heart, because it very much is that way. And I know from my own experience where sometimes it's just you versus everybody else, you know, and everybody else sees one thing that's best for you, and you might feel somewhat like inadequate because you see something that's not what they see for yourself, and you're questioning it. So it takes just such a gargantuan commitment and willingness to be true to yourself, to just say, like, you know what, I don't care. Not I don't care. Or maybe I don't even know. Like, just I thank you all for your love and for your commitment for me.
Yeah.
But this is a choice that only I can make.
That's right. Only I can make.
Yeah.
That's it. And then you get to live inside that choice.
Yeah, man.
And I think what's neat is once you make that choice, you kind of recognize what that feels like. And then you get to go through life with a little barometer in your heart, testing to see, like, is this true to me?
Yeah.
Does this resonate with me?
Yeah.
And you've actually, like, developed the cojones. I actually got huge appreciation for you and for our other brother, Matt, who also, like, stepped out of that organization at one point. I discovered the balls, the brass it takes to actually make that choice.
Yeah.
It really is something powerful.
Yeah.
So I acknowledge both
Thank
of you
you.
for that.
Yeah, no, for 6 years or 7 almost, I was like, this is how I'm going to make the difference that I'm here to make in the world through my participation and my leadership in this organization. You know, we're going to transform the world until one day feel like, wait a second, I don't think this is it. You know, it's a confronting place to be. So, so if you're out there dealing with something similar, regardless of what container that might be, because this happens in everything. I've heard it in yoga communities that has a guru. I've heard it in other organizations. I have a friend who had a similar experience walking out of the Mormon religion. And, you know, just be true to your heart. You're the only one. You're the only one that knows what's best for you, you know?
There's actually a song about this. Do you mind if I grab the ukulele?
You go ahead.
Oh, wow. It's
almost our time.
Holy smokes. Maybe we could. This will be a.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll close with Ben's song. He's taking on the ukulele, which I think is pretty epic.
Yeah. This is a song for those of you out there who aren't really sure of your spiritual path or where you're supposed to go, but you just choose to look inwards and be guided by something much greater than yourself. Follow your heart. Follow your soul. Follow your heart. Follow your soul. Here we go, you can drop a rhyme if you want. Here you go, you can drop a rhyme if you want. I'll jump in.
Go.
You're really powerful. Follow your heart. Trust yourself and you will know where to start. Follow your heart. Be guided by something much bigger than you. Don't ask why. Just jump. Just jump.
Just jump. Nah, I'm not jumping today. I'm sorry.
It's all good. He gets a little camera shy, but
yeah.
Once we turn this off,
I'm a freestyle rapper shy person at the moment. That was beautiful. You know, Ben serenades me with voice notes on WhatsApp every now and then, and this morning was one of those lucky days.
I woke up singing.
I love it.
Yo, dude, this is super special. Thanks for the opportunity to be here.
Yeah.
I would say those of you who are listening, like one takeaway would be, if you're in that place of struggle where you're not entirely sure what to do, Caesar's a great person to talk to. Number one, this place is a great place to be, to kind of like sort yourself out. Nature. Yeah. Yeah. And there's something about meditation or, just kind of giving yourself over to your higher self. And if you don't even know what that means, check in with Caesar about it.
Yeah, for sure. Drop a line. Happy to be resourceful. I've been fortunate to now develop a community of people that help people connect others to their hearts. So,
hell yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming into Love is Our Nature podcast to shine your light, share your beautiful message with the world. And I'll see you again in December for our private men's retreat. The Conscious Masculinity Brotherhood Circle is going to come together and just have an epic time. Can't wait.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
All right, brother.
Thanks for everything, bro.
For sure, man. And thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for dropping by. Thank you for your support. Hope to see you again very soon. Go connect with your heart.
Peace.
Bye-bye.